60 and 101.1 FM 946. And in the studio with me this morning, Frank Garritano, Doug Steve, longtime football, basketball. What other sports you guys do?
I also do track and field.
You do track and field?
I'm just basketball. I take enough abuse in basketball. I don't do any of the others right now.
Well, that is the subject, and that's the reason I asked if you could come in and help us understand some of the things going on within the PIAA. Frank, you had you brought in an Indiana Gazette from the year 2000 where they were looking at that time to find people to fill the role, PIAA officials, and in sports all across the whole spectrum, and that is the case today, and it's made even more difficult by what you're hearing coming out of the stands. And I sent you, Doug, this article that was out of the state of California that said something along the lines of, parents, you need to shut up.
I wouldn't say shut up, but I'd say, some of them need to learn the rules at times. But no, it is a crisis, and I do believe a good portion of it, we do have a dwindling population to pull from now, but I do believe that it's some of the abuse that are taken. I know Frank does football, and it's not as much in the stands as football as it is along the sidelines, but in basketball, you're in the close confines of the gymnasium, and believe me, it echoes when you get a lot of irate parents or fans yelling.
You've been doing it for how long?
32 years.
Frank, how long have you been officiating?
I have 39. This is my 39th year as an official. When you add the three sports together, number of seasons, over 90.
Over 90 seasons. And both of you fellows have heard it, I'm sure, down through the years from fans. The question being, and we know that people will behave badly at times. For the most part, everybody is going to do what needs to be done in terms of being good, courteous people, trying to teach sportsmanship, but it takes one or two, and then others will just pile on. The question, does this actually keep people from saying to themselves, I want to do that. I want to get out there, and I want to be a part of the whole sports environment now that my playing days are over. We have all of these high school sports athletes doing marvelous things and then getting out into the community and on with their lives, but they're not putting on striped shirts.
And Todd, that's an excellent point. I think what we're finding, and this is nationally, as you look not only in Pennsylvania, but the athletes coming out of high school and out of college are not willing to put the stripes on for that primary reason, that they don't want to hear the abuse. I think when Doug and I were growing up, there was a certain expectation, there was a respect, not only from your parents to your parents, but once you got into the classroom, to the teachers and any adult. I don't think we see that as much today, and I don't think that is, and that's a situation, that's a societal issue. And it bleeds over into the playing arena. And if you think about it, sports is the only place where you can get a ticket and you believe you have the right to yell and say whatever you want, where really, it's a privilege. I was talking to an AD just the other day, and he said he had to go up in the stands to talk to a fan about their behavior, about yelling at the officials and the kids and the coaches. And it finally got to a point where the fan admitted this is a game for the kids, not for the adults. And the AD finally indicated or said, right, this is for the kids, so you should be promoting good sportsmanship. And in fact, if you don't change your behavior up here, we're going to have to ask you to leave because it's not your right to be here. It's a privilege to be here.
And I know on that line that I was doing a game a couple weeks ago down at Blairsville, and it was a media game, so we had a little extra media timeouts. And as we were waiting, the one player was getting ready to take the ball to bounce. We were waiting for the second horn, and I said, hey, you should become an official. He just looked at me and goes, you guys get yelled at too much. and that's the mentality at times out there that the kids see it, but it isn't. It should be an extension of the classroom with the kids and with the parents. And I think a lot of times the parents are embarrassed or the kids are embarrassed by the parents' behavior at times during games, all the yelling but it's a natural thing they seem like nowadays. And I think it's a lot. It has to be up to the game management at that particular site to keep things under control.
Well, it's interesting you say that about the educational element because you were a teacher. Frank, you have been in classrooms and in administration and in education for a whole career. It really does. It's a teaching environment, even in a high school competitive basketball or football or whatever the environment might be. That's a teaching thing. And if all the other people in the stands are teaching the wrong thing, then that's going to filter down and become a part of the whole formula there, and it's not a good thing.
No, and I mean, looking at at least our Tri-County basketball chapter, we have roughly 49, 50 officials right now. Last Friday, we had 8 varsity games to fill, so there's 24 officials. You have JVs before that, there's another 16 officials. You have junior high games, and nowadays most junior high officials are doing the JV game because of the dwindling numbers. And so you can see, and Frank did a nice job of breaking down from sports. I mean, volleyball, the states, especially in this area too, they're looking for volleyball officials. We have 9 officials in this area right now, and 2 also do football. So basically, on given days, you may only have 7 volleyball officials. And volleyball is a sport that's at all the county high schools, and it is dwindling.
And, some of the other ones, for example, have low numbers. Softball. 2 years ago, there were 18 officials in the county. We're down to 13, and 5 of those officials also do baseball. Track and field, we're down to 15 Indiana County officials. Swimming and diving, and we don't even have a chapter in Indiana County, so it's a chapter closer to Indiana County. Only have 10 officials. So we do need officials to come out and continue to work with the coaches, with the kids, because it is a learning environment. And just one interesting thing, about 20 years ago, the state legislature put in a law that states that an assault on a sports official is a first-degree misdemeanor and could result in a maximum sentences of 2.5 to 5 years. At least 23 other states have a law like this. And it's a shame that it had to get to that point, because adults cannot be good examples to the kids on the floor. And it has resulted in laws being passed like that. So I think we all have to do a better job as adults to be good examples for the kids in the classroom, on the field, on the court.
Before every basketball game, there is the public address announcer who reads the rules of good conduct. I always say that when I'm on the air, the rules of good conduct, and then we'll have the national anthem. People need to start paying attention to those rules of good conduct, Doug.
Yeah, they do. And I know the Heritage Conference, I just saw this morning that they put a posting on Facebook, and I'm sure they sent it to all 4 schools that are playing tonight. What's expected out of the fans, whether it's students and adults. And I thought that was nice, and I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure they've sent it out to their student body, even like painting the face. You can't paint the whole face. I mean, be positive in your cheers when they announce the lineups. I mean, be positive towards your team. And I'm glad to see that, because they do the sportsmanship thing before the games a lot of the times, the PA announcers. And you're right, it's just once that toss goes up, that's all out the door then.
My friend Ward Hilliard, in fact, I have it on my Best of Ward Hilliard MP3. Ward was laughing in one game. He said, when you come into a basketball game, you get a whistle. He says, you buy that ticket, they hand you a whistle. Ron Coleman taught him that everybody gets a whistle when they come in, because everybody thinks they're an official. It is an awfully difficult thing. The action is fast, and getting into position to make the correct call. And you guys both know that the correct call doesn't always get made, but you're out there, you're doing your best. And if fans are abusive to the men and the women who are wearing the striped shirts and blowing the whistles, then you're right, Doug. They're going to say at some point, I don't need this. It's good to be out there. It's a wonderful atmosphere. It should be. But if you're going to turn it into a bit of a poisoned atmosphere, then I'm going to stay away. And that's what people do.
And we try to stress to our officials, just real quick, Frank, is at our meetings, you can play the part of making sure you're hustle and get in positions. We're always going to miss calls. I mean, and I think you ask any official in our Tri-County chapter, they're going to say, hey, we miss calls, but you know what? At least we're in the position to make the calls. And that's what we try to stress to our chapter is we're all going to miss calls, but at least hustle and get in that position to make make the calls.
Yeah.
To piggyback on what Doug has said, if we just remember that every kid, every coach, and every official wants to have a perfect game, but we know that's not going to happen. There's not a kid out there that wants to miss a shot or throw a ball out of bounds. There's not a coach that wants to call a wrong play, and there's not an official that wants to kick a call. But it does happen. So if we as adults remember that and cheer positively for our team and for our kids, I think it'll go a long way in trying to get younger people into the avocation of officiating.
Yeah. And that's what we need to do. So if somebody is listening today and they say, I used to run up and down the court and play my sport and had a great time at it, and I'd like to do something. I saw Doug McNulty doing a game. He got his certificate, and Doug did a game a couple of weeks ago that I was at. What does somebody need to do if they want to become an official?
Well, it's a lot easier now because the PIAA, if you go onto the PIAA.org website, you can sign up for the test. They'll send you the rule book, and you can actually take the test online. So before you had to go to certain, in the district, like around District 6, you'd go to Hollidaysburg to take the test 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Now you can do it online any day you want and take the test and pass the test. And now basically it is open book because of the shortage of officials and because of technology, they've been able to do that. So that's what they have to do.
PIAA.org. Gentlemen.
Well, going back to sportsmanship, Todd, I do want to say our Tri-County chapter, every year our officials vote on a boys and girls program, not just varsity team program. And at our end of the year social, we give a sportsmanship award to the best boys program and girls program for sportsmanship during that year. And it's voted on by the officials. So, and I know the schools really appreciate the ones that are awarded because for the most part, they want to have that good sportsmanship with their teams and their players and their fans.
Is that done by sport?
No, we do. At least we do for our basketball.
For basketball?
Yeah.
Has it been done yet this year?
No, we vote. In fact, the voting is going to start next week, and our end of the year social is in April, so that's when we hand out the award. But the winners are notified in March to make sure they have representatives there, and they attend our social, and we hand out the plaques to each of those coaching staffs.
And that entire program also includes the fans in the stands.
It's a good point. Good point. All right, so there you go. Everybody be calm, enjoy the games, be respectful, and understand that it's not an easy thing that's being done out there, but there are men and women who are out there willing to do it. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in this morning. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd.
It is, and you're going to be at the games tonight. I don't think either of you have assignments tonight, right?
No,
not tonight.
No, not tonight.
Going to be there?
Be there cheering appropriately.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS, AM 1160 and 101.1 FM.